Our reaction to the final day of Formula One testing. This video is sponsored by the wonderful people over at Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to reflect on, as testing is now done and dusted. No more BS after this moment. No more, oh, well, we don't really know what's happening. It's all going to be unveiled next weekend. Well, sorry, next Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes, don't forget, Saturday race, everyone. Finally, we can forget testing and learn a little more. We've learned a little bit from today, but it's still that very awkward kind of, we don't know what everyone's doing yet.
Okay, final day of testing then, and fastest is Charles Leclerc. But if we're being realistic, fastest is Max Verstappen, because it's Max Verstappen.
I mean, it's like the least surprising thing ever that Red Bull are very good, I think, in a non-regulation change. Maybe they might be, dare I say, even better than last year, which is scary. But like I said in the last one, there are so many things to look forward to. And Ferrari have looked good. I'm not saying they're Red Bull good. Maybe it's a surprise when there was a lot of hype around maybe McLaren and could Mercedes be better. I think Ferrari are looking like Red Bull's biggest challenges, even if that biggest challenge is 1 second slower, which is what Mercedes said, that a lot of engineers think that Red Bull might even have a second advantage on the field. But please keep watching P1.
Look, this is bigger than P1, Tommy. This is Formula One we're talking about here. You know, this is the state of our sport right now. Max Verstappen, slow down. Thank you so much. I think also, I don't think there's a question about it, but we do need to shout out our boy Zhou Guanyu up in P3 with that vibrant green car. Just setting in a little time at the end, you know, just to throw in a little bit of, there's F1 testing. Because it all felt very, you know, top teams at the top, and that was it. Like, okay, is F1 testing actually sort of... we can actually know, representative of who's what, and then shows like, no, here you go. I'm going to throw this one in here just so people think Stake are actually going to be good. But sorry, Sauber.
Look, joking aside about the Max stuff, I do think, and this was the case last year. Obviously, Max won almost every single race, but the field had never been closer, and it does feel like that is the case. You know, you can go back however much we love to say like Formula One's in a dire state. You can go back to barely even a few years ago, and when Mercedes had their advantage, it was the only people that weren't getting lapped was like Max and Leclerc, like the whole race, and they were like literally lapping the whole field, while of course Max was winning all those races. We had those qualifying sessions where, you know, like the whole field is separated by like under a second, or like, you know, the top 10 or whatever. I don't think Haas will be in that mix, but everyone else maybe.
Don't disrespect Mr. Hulkenberg up in 11th. Haas actually
Hamilton
decided to do a lap that was within 5.5 seconds of the fastest time, so don't disrespect it. They might still have some pace. Have you ever dreamt of owning your own website, but never thought that you had the right skills or coding knowledge in order to have one? Well, let me introduce you to Squarespace, a place where you can build a website with absolutely no coding knowledge required. With Fluid Engine, a next-generation website design system from Squarespace, it's never been easier for anyone to unlock unbreakable creativity. Start with a best-in-class website template and customize every design detail with reimagined drag-and-drop technology for desktop or mobile. What's better too is that you can create one for free and only start paying once you decide to go ahead and publish your website. So what are you waiting for? Head to squarespace.com/P1 to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using the code P1. First question comes in from Mustoman1. Do Ferrari really have a chance to fight for the championship? Okay, realistic time now. We're gonna. All right, the hopium's now been disconnected from my face. No, they do not. I think that Red Bull absolutely have it in the bag. My expectations are low, but that means I can be surprised. But no, I think that Ferrari are still good on one lap pace, but it just feels like Red Bull have a lot more left in the tank. And also as well, with this new concept of car, if we're thinking of a whole championship season, I would probably put my money on Red Bull to further be able to develop this new concept of car that they've just introduced. Because clearly the ceiling of their other concept of car, they felt like they were maybe near the top of it. Whereas this one, surely they believe they can build and upgrade into it a lot more. So yes, I don't think Ferrari have a chance to fight for the championship, but maybe the odd win.
But yeah, of course, Adrian Newey saying the fact that they'd done a completely different concept because essentially they knew everyone was going to copy last year's Red Bull and that philosophy, and that would leave them vulnerable. Whereas if they go for something completely new, and looks like he's potentially made that Mercedes concept that they binned off work, they can extend their advantage, and everyone then has to catch up again. And then maybe in 2025, everyone has big shoulders and side pods, and Adrian Newey builds an upside-down Formula One car, and everyone goes, oh, we need to copy that now.
Next question, Ty-C46. How good is Red Bull and Max? Slower, older tyres, and his times were close to Charles. Sorry, Matt. Championship over. Brilliant. So we've gone from slightly, just making me feel a little bit better about myself and Ferrari's hopes to then just saying championship over. I mean, look, it's very clear that Red Bull are strong. I've seen lots of things circulating that was like, oh, Ferrari look like they've got amazing pace nowadays, and the tyre wear's gone and the drivability's there, and you're like, really? Do you genuinely believe that Red Bull is slower in race pace now? Like there is no way in hell that is going to happen, and if it does, I'm in dreamland, but it's not going to. Let's be realistic here.
They were comparing, I think it was yesterday when Sainz was doing his long runs with Perez, and it didn't look like Ferrari were like floundering like they normally do after a few laps, because we know they are very quick, and they had a very quick car last season. They just couldn't make the races work. But yeah, Red Bull looking very ominous, and like you said at the start, if it suits Max's driving style even more, that is a scary prospect, because of course we went into last year and where Perez was actually sort of, being able to win the odd race and be there. But if it is really suited to Max, we've said it so many times on the podcast that he doesn't have days off and has very little weaknesses. So it's going to be very difficult for everyone else.
Ace 12 Adam, should McLaren be concerned about their reliability? McLaren, for some reason, tests just don't go all that well for them. It just feels like they are one of those teams. I don't think it's anything too crazy. Other teams have also had issues. We had Red Bull having issues with Perez yesterday. It's not like they didn't do any running. I'm not going to jump the gun here and say that McLaren should be really concerned. They still look quite quick from what we've seen glimpses of. But no, McLaren fans, I think you're all right, which probably means you're DNFing in the first race.
Yeah, for me, like we've said, every testing podcast we've done, you can't look too much into testing, but maybe McLaren... Yeah, if you haven't got
it by now, you'll never get it, you know what I mean?
I know. But McLaren maybe are that team for me that they were hugely hyped going into the season. We're both guilty of that, and I think everyone has been hyped with how good they were at the end of last season, and Lando Norris, finishing so many races, P2 behind Max, and their improvement. You thought, well, they've got to go into this new season and be really, really good. But I don't know, like my initial gut feeling is maybe it's not, need to have a bit of a rethink on them maybe being as good as I maybe thought they would be.
Lando has been riddled with a few issues, I guess, over testing. He only did 20 laps today, which...
Yeah.
It's not ideal, and I want to apologise in advance for predicting Lando Norris to be world champion, and feel maybe the curse is already hitting. So apologies for that one, Lando. But look, we'll see. They still look pretty nifty in the hands of Oscar Piastri. Did 91 laps today. They've still got plenty of data in the bag, and if you combine the two, you've got 111 laps. So it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world for McLaren, and they'll have plenty to learn going into next week. Baldy Marco 5 comes in with your pecking order based on what we have seen. Well, wouldn't you love to know our pecking order and who we predict is where? Well, we've got it coming for you very, very soon, where we're going to predict our Drivers' Championship from 20th all the way to 1st. We'll reflect a little bit on what little we've learnt in testing, and also mainly base it on vibes, because that is the pretty much core of P1 is based on vibes, and sometimes the predictions are incredible and sometimes they're terrible, but you tune in either way.
I do like as well not knowing. You do want a bit of guesswork. I know everyone tries to analyze everything, but I'm kind of glad that you don't.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, because you don't want Formula One themselves, for example, to basically run it through this big data program and go, this is the order, and it be correct every year essentially, and because you want to go into that first race and have Zhou Guanyu getting on the podium or something random like that. You don't want to know exactly what's going to happen, so there might be the odd surprise and stuff.
The beauty of the unknown,
yes.
Which is definitely not what you get when there's a sprint weekend. But thankfully they've changed it slightly, so we aren't ruined completely.
Had to get some sprint slander in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought I'm just trying to get in your good books, to be honest, mate. So you're nice to me for the whole season when Max wins 24 out of 24. Right, that is it. I think that pretty much summarises day 3 of testing. Overall, how I would summarise it is that, it was actually quite dull. There wasn't much that actually went on. The track tried to give us something to talk about, but realistically, Bahrain and 2024 F1 was very smooth sailing for a lot of it. Just teams doing laps. There wasn't any crashes, was there, or anything like that?
No, there's never going to be
the odd stoppage, but really not a lot to actually dissect in terms of a team massively failing or anything like that. I think that a lot of teams will be relatively happy with how the last 3 days have gone. So thank you, everybody. Lots of love, and we'll see you next week for Race Week.
Real racing.
It's coming! Enjoy Drive to Survive. We've got a reaction video and podcast coming out for that as well. P1 live show tickets are still available for London, Cambridge and Bath, so go and get them if you haven't already. And we'll see you very soon. Bye!
Bye!